What's up, guys? This is Mark with a Student of Life. In today's video, I'm going to give you 6 steps on how to plan a large vacation trip or a large sabbatical or a long travel experience, if that's a goal of yours. So, 6 steps, stay tuned so you know which six to do. And once you follow these steps, you should have a more efficient and effective way of traveling to maximize your time, energy, and money. All right, let's get to it. The first thing you need to do is open up a spreadsheet so that you can organize your thoughts and the numbers that you're going to put down and to basically keep the entire trip organized. And if you want to use the format that I used, I have a example here, but basically the way I organized it was by country, city, the date that I'm going to arrive, the date I'm leaving, the flight. um this was an estimation, and then this was what I actually spent. So your nominal or your estimated flight versus your real flight, and you'll record that once you actually travel. Bus if it's available, a hotel or hostel, again this is estimation, and then the actual cost for that, the nights that you're going to be staying there. And the reason I use nights is because that's how much that's what you'll be getting charged at the hotels or hostels. They count the amount of nights that you're going to be there, and it's a more accurate reference for you when you're actually staying at a place. Next is transportation, and this was done estimating the average Uber ride or taxi ride in each country, and you just make a best guess on what that is. I also did rental vehicle estimations, rental insurance, and this was to estimate whether it's a good idea to get rental vehicles while I travel, which it wasn't. Walking and taking the metro, or if you're familiar with riding a motorcycle or scooter, that is much more cost effective than actually renting a vehicle if you're traveling like 5+ countries, 10+ countries, that kind of thing. Gas was also an estimation with a rental vehicle. Activities, that one was the most important one because that one basically, and we're going to run through it, but that one basically told you everything you needed to know in terms of like how long you're going to stay within a country, what you're going to do, how your day is structured, how much it's going to cost for activities plus hotel plus flights plus food and drinks and anything else. But everything is structured around your activities. um your visa, if that applies, your visa fee, if that also applies, and if you must show proof of onward travel, which most countries never really asked, like, do you have a flight for the next country? It was just more, you show up and they stamp the passport assuming that you're going to leave within that certain amount of time. But some other countries were very picky about it. Like Costa Rica, when I was going to Panama, they wanted to see proof of onward travel. So I had to buy an extra ticket while I was at the airport before, and they won't let you in to check in. Like you have to do it before checking in. So that's why it's important to get to the airport on time, like 2 hours ahead of time for international travel, just in case things happen. Food and drinks. Let me just delete this. And these are just formula references that I did on my master sheet. But you know what? I might as well just show my master sheet and just run through all the numbers here and just show everything instead of doing a separate one. So this is basically what it looks like when it's structured. Where you have everything planned, you have all your budgets, and then on the bottom, you have your total amount, which for me was roughly 40,000. My original budget was 50,000 for all 20 countries. All right, so the first thing you want to do is open up Google Earth, and this is where you're going to be able to explore the different areas or different countries you want to go to. And like I said in my previous video, but I'll just run through it again. The way I made a decision on which 20 countries to go to was purely based on curiosity, um, and that curiosity and intuition was done through Google Earth itself. So um, my path, or the way I did it, because I'm from California, I kind of looked through Latin America, just to see the different countries, and see what made sense for me, and then looked at the other side of the world just to see what else was interesting to me. And generally, Asia was of interest to me, so that was how I narrowed it down. But what you want to do is basically go through each country that you're interested in, and then create a list. So the list itself doesn't have to be organized at first. You just want to write down everything that you're interested in, and then you can start organizing it in terms of like how you're going to logically travel through each country. So if we look at my sheet that I created for myself, on the left side here, this was after everything was organized, but I basically went through each country at like a horseshoe. So I went through Latin America, and then the last location was in Argentina, or sorry, Uruguay, and then after that was my way to Southeast Asia. So first step, look at Google Earth, see what's interesting to you, and once you found a country that you're interested in, um, then narrow it down to see what exactly within that country you're in, like what you're interested to go see. So, for example, for Mexico, I was interested in Mexico City. In Nicaragua, I was interested in Managua. In Costa Rica, I was interested to be in San Jose. In Panama, I was interested to be in Panama City. In Colombia, I cared about being in Medellin. And in Peru, I wanted to explore Lima, which was the capital, and then Cusco to go see Machu Picchu. And a lot of travelers that I met were interested in other parts of Latin America. Some were interested in Paraguay or Brazil or some other countries because of the jungles and the high altitudes and the hiking and the nature. That just wasn't really my thing. So after Peru, I went down to Buenos Aires, and then I went to Montevideo in Uruguay, and then I wanted to go to Southeast Asia after that. We went to Malaysia, to Kuala Lumpur. I think after that, I went to Cambodia, but I didn't go to Phnom Penh. I went to Siem Reap, which was amazing, and I highly recommend it. And then after Cambodia was Vietnam, where I went to Ho Chi Minh City, and then I took a train, an old school train. I think it took me like 2.5 days up to Hanoi. And after Vietnam, I went to Japan, to Tokyo. Tokyo is a huge city, so there's a lot to do. And after Tokyo, I landed here in Bangkok, where I've been here for the last 5 months. I'll be here for another month before I continue my travels. And after Bangkok will be Burma, where I'll be in Yangon. And then I'm going to take a train up to Bagan to see the old Burmese Empire and the temples and the pagodas and everything shit that I'm interested in. And after Burma will be Bhutan, which is this tiny place right here. And after that, Kathmandu, and that pretty much ends my trip. And then I will be going to Lebanon to see family, and then back to Deutschland. The next step is, or was, to then map out the activities. And the way I did it was create a separate tab for my activities and basically have conservative estimates on the price of doing these activities. And I did a buffer of maybe 10 to 20%. And so what I did was go on Google Maps. So let's do Mexico City, for example. So we're in Mexico City on Google Maps. This is the best way that I found to be able to map out everything that you want to do. And essentially what I did, using just intuition again, was just kind of scoping through the country or through the city and just finding interesting things that piqued my interest. So the Basilica Santa Maria de Guadalupe, that one was of interest because I wanted to go see it. I like architecture, so I would put that on my activity list. The Frida Kahlo Museum, if I can see it, if it's here. But if not that, if I want to go to a museum, then I'll just put it back on my list and just start building my activity list. And once I've gathered everything that I think I want to do, then what I would do is on Google Maps, I would map it out. So it would look like this. So what I did was put the activities that I was interested in onto Google Maps and create a list. And once I have this, we can see that this route itself is not optimal for traveling. Um, and it depends on how you want to travel and how you're going to transport yourself. For the most part, I did a lot of walking. For example, in Mexico City, you can take the metro. It's not that expensive. However, if you want to optimize your time, you want to organize where you want to go and what you want to see. So when I would randomly put or find activities that I want to do, then I would get something like this. Excuse me. Then I would just um, play around with the destinations to see what makes sense. So let's see, does that make sense? Or is there a more optimal way of doing? And this is what I call linear pathway, where you try to figure out like what's the best route or the best way to go through your activities to optimize your time, energy, and money. It looks like I have a cluster of activities here. So let's see what's here. Whoops. My computer's kind of slow because it's really hot in Bangkok right now, and I don't really have air conditioning within the room. All right, let's see. Okay, so that's there. It's the museum. Okay, that's up there, so I want to do that. And that seems to be the most efficient, especially since this tells me like 4 hours and 53 minutes of walking, um, which was less than the 5 hours and less than the 6 hours. Now, once I figured this out, I would look at the cluster within the area, the cluster of activities, and kind of gauge and see if this is one day's worth of activities. And if it is, based on this list here, I would then chronologically put those activities on my activity sheet. So within my within my linear pathway sheet, which is my activity sheet just more optimized, I would literally list and add everything that I'm going to do. So I arrive to Mexico City, then I have my transportation to the hotel, which is all within the same day, and the estimated cost is about $25. I'm going to have dinner that night when I arrive, and the estimated cost is about $10. The next day, I will then add a 1 under the day column to give me a reference on the day that I'm spending there. And in this case, I wake up, I assume that I have breakfast, and that will be $10. I assume that I'm going to be buying drinks, water, whatever for the day. That's another $10. And then I go on to do my activities for that day. So the Templo Mayor Museum, the Mexico City Metropolitan Cathedral, Plaza de la Constitucion, the Anthropology Museum, and then in here are the estimated costs for going into the museum, or maybe I also buffered in like me getting hungry throughout the day and buying food, and I've also included that within that activity list, whatever. dinner, and then the cost, and then that would be it for another day. So the next day, where I say breakfast, I put in one for the day because it's assuming that this is the next day already. And you list everything that you're going to do that day or that you assume you're going to do so that it helps you. It gets rid of the thinking part of traveling so that when you're actually traveling, what you do is just wake up, you open up your sheets on your phone, and you already have a list of things that you want to do. And one thing that I did to stay organized while doing this was I would highlight green on the activities that I completed, and then I would highlight red on the activities that I did not do. So for the Frida Kahlo Museum, I could not do it because when I got there, it was fully booked, and you had to um, basically book in advance to get there, and I didn't know that, so I just went to a different museum and I mark it as red. And this is just a reference for you for what you were able to do and what you were not able to do, and to just keep track of things. I highly, highly, highly recommend doing it this way because it highly optimizes your routes. It highly optimizes your money, and it also highly optimizes your time and energy while traveling. The last thing I want to say is it's super important to figure out the activities you want to do because, again, doing figuring out the activities basically sets the tone for the rest of the entire travel because it lets you know or gives you an accurate estimation of how many days or nights you're going to spend within a country, how much you're actually going to, what your actual costs are going to look like for doing the activities, whether it's also transportation, whether it's food and drinks, whether it's the hotel, the activity. Understanding what you're going to do for your activities is basically foundational to doing a gigantic trip like this where you want to travel 10, 20 countries, whatever country. Even if you want to do a 2 week like trip, it's a great way to optimize everything that you're doing to make the best out of it. And that's the whole point of traveling, which is to optimize your time, energy, and money. The next step that I want to mention real quick is add buffers to your costs. So what does that mean? That means that if the real cost of, for example, a flight to a country is $100, then within your calculations, you should add a buffer of, for example, 10% or 20%, so that the conservative estimate of that cost would be $110 or $120, and you should operate assuming under those costs. Why? Because things happen during or while you're traveling, especially flight costs change, hotel costs change, and just things happen. Transportation costs change, and adding buffers within your budget is a great technique. It's a management technique to basically set the precedent or set the tone that the real cost will be not that $100, but the $120. And the whole point is that you're not actually going to spend the $120 or add the extra $20. The whole point is that you spend the $100, but you have that buffer so that you mentally are prepared as you travel, knowing that there may be extra costs and that you're financially covered. And the good news is that if you're able to follow something like this, where you've structured your travels, then more likely than not, you will be under budget at the end of the trip while accomplishing everything that you wanted to accomplish. Just like I have my original budget, my conservative budget with the buffer was 50,000, and then I kind of worked my way to optimizing that to bring it down to 30 while accomplishing everything that I assumed within that $50,000 budget. So super important, set buffers within your budget so that that is the amount you should save and take with you when you travel, but it's not the amount that you will actually spend. It's just your own savings in a way when you travel. The next step is to just repeat what we just went through for each country. Look at Google Earth, see what country you're interested in, see what city or thing you're interested to do, then record it onto your spreadsheet, and then go on Google Maps to figure out the activities. And once you've figured out your activities and listed them out, then you go on Google Maps to basically create a chronological way in which you're going to travel. And once that's figured out, you record that under, in what I called it, the linear pathway estimate, and you chronologically list where you're going to go and what you're going to go, what you're going to do, and you're going to do it in detail, which includes the food you're going to spend, when you're going to spend it, how you're going to spend it. All of that is within the linear pathway model. And you just keep doing this for each country that you're interested in until you've completed the plans themselves, and you now have essentially your own calculator, your traveling calculator, and your traveling schedule on hand that's been fully optimized and fully ready to go for you. Finally, the last thing is to travel, as to wake up and download the Google Sheets app on your phone. And when you're traveling, now you have the comfort knowing that you don't have to actually think while you're traveling. You just go and do it, and you're in the moment, and you're enjoying the country that you're in, and you don't have to worry about money or budget or what to do next or what activity and where to go and how to go. That's all taken care of. And that's the whole point of pre-planning before you go. It's so that you actually travel and are in the moment within each country, and so that you can accomplish everything that you wanted to do and feel a sense of accomplishment while traveling. And each traveler is different, but in my case, I'm not really the type to want to go to a country where I'm just winging it, because that's, in my opinion, just a complete waste of resources. I've met many travelers who would wake up, and because I would stay at hostels, and I'm like, oh, so what are you going to do today? And the discussion was just like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just stay at the hostel all day, or go to the supermarket and come back and just make dinner. And there was nothing beyond those plans, or like I might just go for a hike for the day and just see the city or something like that, which is fine. But the way I recommend it, at least, is to suck the life out of traveling so that you can enjoy every moment. And I just can't show up to a country and just not have plans or a mission to want to go do things and see things, even if it is to just chill and see the city. Like, have that also planned so that you know what you're doing, so that you have some mission. And the other good thing is, a lot of times I would be ahead of schedule because I organize so much that I would have a day or two with no plans on my list, and those days would just be relaxing days where I would just go out and just see the city in a different way, in a more relaxed way, because there's no pressure in a way to finish your goals or finish your accomplishments. And those were just really nice treats, like the cherry on top after like, I don't want to say exhausting in a bad way, but a just very packed schedule where you can just sit, see the culture, enjoy the food, meet different people, talk to them, and just enjoy yourself. All right, guys, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. It'll really help out with being able to share my passion and my monotone voice for travel. And I'm hoping to grow this channel to be something where I can start interviewing people in all walks of life. And in this case, right now, I'm doing things about traveling. So if you're interested, please send an email to the email address below, just a short summary of who you are and what you want to talk about, especially if you're a traveler. I'd love to hear like what you've been doing. Thank you so much. See you guys. Peace.